This week's video, as voted for on Instagram, is a body wash, and I'm going to include some honey. This formula is inspired by a dupe I'm doing over on Patreon this month, but it's also quite different. If you'd like to see the formula I put on Patreon and all the other things that I've posted, then there's various tiers that you can join, and I also guarantee a reply to messages within 24 hours. So that's all over there, and that's linked below. As for today's formula, a body wash is basically something that comprises of water, an anionic surfactant and a preservative. Anionic surfactants are used because they're negatively charged and therefore they remove dirt and oil from the skin surface, cleansing it. But they can sometimes be slightly irritating, so things like co-surfactants can then be added to make the product milder, such as an amphoteric surfactant like cocamidal propylbutane, which can help the formula counteract that irritation. You can also add humectants, moisturising ingredients and actives to make the skin feel really nice after use. To make a body wash, we need to calculate the active surfactant matter. The general active surfactant matter, or ASM for short, for a body wash should roughly be 15 to 20% for a good cleansing and foaming product. To work out the ASM, we first find out the ASM percentage in the surfactant that you're using. The manufacturer's information will state this, so then convert it to a decimal. Once it's converted to a decimal, you can multiply it by the percent usage rate for your product. For this formula, I'm using AOS 40 with an ASM of, you guessed it, 40%, and cocamidal propylbutane with an ASM of 30%. Note that you can of course add more surfactants if you wish, but just make sure that you're adding them for a good reason, such as increasing lather, for example. So to work out the ASM, I take my AOS 40 at a usage rate of 35%, and then I times that by 0.40 to get 14. Then I do the same for the cocamidal propylbutane at a usage rate of 20% times 0.30 equals 6. So the total ASM for the product is 14 plus 6, which equals 20% total ASM for the product, which is fine and within my range for a body wash. A bonus of using AOS 40 and cocamidal propylbutane is that they thicken when they're combined, so we don't need to add another thickener in this formulation. Of course you can if you want to thicken it further, but I find that this ratio is sufficient. You can of course always up the surfactants to make it thicker or lower them to make it thinner as well. Basically, the star of this body wash is the honey. When combined with a reasonable glycerin percentage, it offers a gorgeous humectant property that leaves your skin feeling amazingly soft. So let's get on with making it. Formula is just there to the right so that you can reference it while you're watching. First ingredient is vegetable glycerin, and to this we're going to add our mica or water soluble dye. I've got sort of a mix here, and I'm just going to use a tiny amount because it's very potent. So I'm literally just going to dip the stirring rod into the packet and then mix this with the glycerin. And you're just mixing this to pre-disperse it. This is where you don't get any clumps in the finished product. You'll see it looks a very translucent orange at the moment, but you'll see once all the other ingredients are incorporated, it colours it just enough into a nice peachy orange colour. So the next ingredient is our honey. This is a humectant and emulsifier, and it's very skin conditioning, and it also adds to the viscosity of the final product. Adding this in just gives the nicest feeling to the final product, and I absolutely love it. So I do implore you to try it. I wouldn't normally suggest putting food products into skincare, but honey is a very well-known ingredient. The INCI for honey is MEL, M-E-L. You can look it up and find out all about how to use this in different skincare products, but putting it in body washes is just gorgeous. So mix that into the glycerin and the colour really well, and then we can add our water and combine that. Put that to one side and we can work on our surfactant phase. We're doing this in a separate phase because we don't want to cause too many bubbles from all the stirring. So first of all, in the larger beaker I've got my AOS 40, and to that I'm adding the cocamidal propylbutane, and you'll see as I stir this it instantly thickens and becomes a really thick paste. I'll show you this from above so you can see just how thick it gets. Like I said earlier, the more you use of these, the thicker your overall product, the less you use, the thinner it'll be. So yeah, you can see it's really thickened up, those two together, which is why I'm adding these surfactants and not using a thickener. If you were using other surfactants, you might want to thicken with xanthan gum or salt or Crothix. I've written more about this in the blog post, which will be linked below. Once that's mixed, pour your water phase with the honey into your surfactants and give that a good mix. It does take quite a lot of mixing to get it to combine, but it will eventually combine. You will kick up bubbles, but don't worry, they do disperse quite well. If you're worried about them, you can just spritz the top with a bit of isopropyl alcohol and that will disperse them fine. Then you can add your cool down ingredients, which is our mango fragrance oil and preservative eco. Now I'm using preservative eco because I've had success with this in body washes, especially these ones, but you can do your own testing. If you want to use liquid Germal Plus at 0.5% instead, feel free. You are able to do that if you can get hold of it. It's a bit harder to get hold of in the UK, I think. But anyway, keep stirring and you'll get the final viscosity. If it's not thick enough for your liking, you can add a little bit of Crothix to thicken it up, or the other thickening options that I've listed below. Note that salt doesn't do very well with these surfactants, so won't necessarily thicken it. You'll need xanthan gum or Crothix. When you've got it to the consistency you like, you need to take the pH. Now you want this between about 4.5 and 5.5. I had to adjust down very slightly with some citric acid. If you want to know how to do this, I have a video all about pH linked below. Once you've got your pH right, you can bottle this up and it's ready to use. And don't forget to label your products. Give them a weight, all the ingredients and the date and a batch number, or the date can be the batch number if that's how you do things, just to keep track of what you're making and when you're making it, and that's how you can keep track when you do stability testing. Quick foam test. You get quite a lot of lather from this. Obviously loofahs lather up a lot more than my hands, but there you go, you can see all the bubbles. It's really nice and gentle, it's really mild, and it leaves your skin feeling really soft. So if you like this formula, then please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell icon, like, all those things. And if you want to see another formulation of a well-known product duped, then that's over on my Patreon, link below. And I will see you guys next week.